Live? Who knows? Oh, yes, I am live. Hello. Hello, all you gorgeous, wonderful people out there. Let's see here. Did I join the right stream? Oh, I hope I did. Did I join the right stream? Let's make sure I did. I'm always getting confused with this streaming. Did I start the right stream? Did I? How is everybody out there in YouTube land? Yes, I did start the right stream. Oh, goody. All right. I was just checking. Hi, Sue Malik. Thank you for being here and thank you for being the first person. Hi, John Weber. Hi, Marjorie Harrison. Lovely to see you. Peter Dawson. Hello. Jill Linda is in the house. Thank you for being here and thank you for the support. Geocosmic Valentine, a graduating student, Mazel Tov. Well, how is everyone? Hi, Chris, Crowdis, Carol. Thank you for being a member, and thank you to everybody who has liked and subscribed. We've got a lot to talk about. People are worried we are in World War III. Are we in World War III? What do you folks think? What do you guys think? I think you guys are going to have to decide. Did Putin and Iran use foreign fighters to attack Israel in order to create a false flag operation, to create a war? Is Putin mad at Zelensky because Zelensky is Jewish, supported by Israel? Worked for Abramov, who's a Israeli Russian oligarch with Channel One in Ukraine. Is that correct? Hi, everyone. Putin gave up the act. Is that what happened? Did the alt-right give up the act that they like Israel, that they like Jewish people? Is that what's happened? Has Putin finally given up the act that he doesn't like Jews, that he doesn't like the Jewish people, that he doesn't like Israel, that he's really in bed with Syria and Iran and has been the whole time? So if he's getting weapons and trading weapons, etc., with Syria and Iran, and if he's been trading weapons and theoretically intelligence with Syria and Iran, then why would the alt-right, why would Netanyahu and alt-right, right-wing people who claim that they support Israel trust Putin? This is the conversation. Did Putin send out false intel? Another conversation we can have. Did Putin send out false intel when Russian soldiers were amassing on the border of Ukraine? People said, are the Russians going to attack? He said, no, it's a false, it's just a training mission, right? Did Putin give Israel false intel? Oh, we can trust Putin. He's our friend. What kind of a shock do you think Israel and Netanyahu are in right now? Think about that. How much shock is Netanyahu in right now that Putin is starting to show his colors, that he's out to destroy America and Israel? And he sent a proxy army to do it. Right? So Hamas was given the money, the military training, and the soldiers. Where'd those soldiers come from? Those weren't Palestinian soldiers only. Where'd all those soldiers come from? How did they get to Gaza? How did all those foreign fighters get into Gaza? These are the questions you have to be asking yourself. If Gaza's a jail, like some are claiming, then how come all these people from Iran, these Iranian fighters, not from Iran, they're not from Iran, but they're foreign fighters paid for with Iranian money and Russian money, right? How'd they get into Gaza? You can't be trapped and have people getting into Gaza at the same time. You're either trapped or you're not. Well, I grab a glass of water. Let's have that conversation. Discuss, and then we'll give you a remote view. Okie dokie. Well, the news is not good. The news is not good. Scalice dropped out. Really? I thought that Scalice was the one that they decided to run with. Scalice was the most likely to unite the Republicans, wasn't he? Um, here's how you have to look at it, Joel. And here's how I want everyone to look at it. Because there's a lot of anti-Israel stuff going around. I am Israeli, by the way. That's the first thing I want to clarify. I'm an Israeli citizen. Also, if you really want to hate me, I used to be a settler. I used to live on the West Banks. But so I've seen every side of this argument. I think people are good for the most part. I think most Palestinians are good people. And I think that how it will end is one country. First, we'll have we have to form some kind of secular federal government that's going to grant people the right to travel between the areas. I don't think that there's going to be a two-state solution, and I think that Gaza is why Palestinians and Jews now realize that we can't have a two-state solution, because the Israelis left Gaza 30 years ago. We weren't in Gaza. We left the settlements. We left. And when we left, Iran came in, right? So the Iranians came in and they supplied the military training, the weapons, and the bombs, and the uniforms, and the fighters. The fighters out of Africa, etc., are all being fueled by Iran and Putin. So why is Putin so mad at Netanyahu? And why is he so mad at Israel? Because I get it. I mean, I'm a remote viewer and I do this for a living. He probably looks at us, Israelis, Jewish people, and thinks, wow, we always take care of our own. So who are we going to be loyal to? Are we going to be loyal to Putin, or are we going to be loyal to Zelensky, a Hungarian Israeli who's working for Abramov, right? We're going to go with Zelensky, right? Because he's family, mishpacha, right? In Hebrew. So Putin's pretty angry. Then Zelensky took a few trips to Israel, right? Debriefing. Then, and this is not public information, but I have permission to share it. Mossad is supplying private security for Zelensky. That means that you can't get within 100 meters of him without having to go through Israeli security, right? So none of this makes Putin happy. And the alt-right are anti-Semites and Nazis, and they've always been anti-Semites and Nazis. They were never pro-Israel. They were always pro-Syria. They were always pro-Iran. They were always pro-Putin and Putin's alt-right fascistic vision of the world. The Russian Orthodox Church has always been rabidly anti-Semitic. It has preached since it has been in existence that Jews are demons who poison your wells. So, of course, Putin and his church hate the Jews. So he faked it in order to get in good with Israel. But unfortunately, Israel has a huge security leak with Russia. You know, you look at all the hundreds of thousands of Russians that moved to Israel and what kind of a security breach we had. And it was this kind of naivety, like, we're all going to come and we're going to build this beautiful Jewish state. And we just assumed that none of these people, many of whom were given jobs in Israeli security, we just assumed that they were not going to be working with Russian intelligence. Well, we were wrong. So you had all of these Russian Jewish people who had been, and some of them not Jewish, who'd been working as spies for the Kremlin. They'd been working in intelligence. They were granted Israeli citizenship. So, hey, you're free. You don't have to live in Russia anymore. You can come live in Israel. So they immediately started working for Israeli intelligence. What do you think happened? We had a major problem between the Kremlin and Russia. And then they also began doing the Tea Party thing in Israel, right? That they started making Israel more of a conservative country, right? And then you had the liberals like me who were saying, no, liberals are not the anti-Semites. It's the alt-right that are don't trust them, right? Golda Meir was a liberal, right? She was a democratic socialist. And what has happened slowly to Israel is it's gone from being this democratic socialist utopia that was going to include everybody, right? It was going to be an inclusive society. And it's turned into this fascistic alt-right nightmare. But now the big shock for the alt-right Jewish community is that Putin was never your friend. He never loved the Jewish people. He always was fascistic leaning. Why didn't Israel ask? Why didn't we bother to ask why he was doing business with Syria and Iran? I mean, the naivety that he's doing business, he's wheeling and dealing with Syria and Iran, and you actually think he likes Israel? Of course he doesn't like Israel. Of course he doesn't like Jewish people. Which brings us to the sad reality that we have to come to terms with if we are good people who have Palestinian friends and we believe everyone who's a good person is entitled to the right to vote, etc. We have to acknowledge that, right? But we also have to acknowledge that Gaza is under Iranian occupation. And so I don't think Gaza has a future for a very, very long time. I don't think it's going to be a safe place for civilians. That's what I would predict. And I think that the most humanitarian thing to do, if I were from Gaza and I was Palestinian, you know, I have to say I support Hamas, because if I don't say, look what they did to those people. They'll do the same. They've done the same thing to Palestinians who say, I don't believe in this. They put to death anyone who opposes Hamas. These are terrorists. So even if you're an innocent Palestinian trying to live your life in Gaza, you can't, because you're being terrorized by this. Gaza is being occupied by a foreign government. Yes, it's being occupied by Iran, not Israel. So like I'm saying, educating people about what's going on. So Israel has to be brutal against Hamas, but Iran is holding the Palestinian people hostage there. So the most humane thing to do is to get them out, is to evacuate. So what I would hope is, I would hope that Egypt would take the most humane thing, because they have a border with Egypt. And it was Egypt's fault. Egypt opened the border and allowed these people into Gaza, these foreign fighters. They also were going in through the tunnels. They were going through Port Said with the weapons, which is why Israel's going to bomb. But people have to understand that Israel is going to go to the port. Israel is going to go to the Gaza-Egypt border. That's how far Israel is going into Gaza. Israel is going to indefinitely occupy Gaza, and they will go under every hole to find these Hamas Iranian-backed fighters. So if you are an innocent, good person who unfortunately is born in the middle of this, the most humane thing I would think would be that I think that is not to let them stay in Egypt. When people say, it's the fault of the Jews, well, that's stupid. It's the fault of the Israelis. No, that's stupid too. Sometimes Israel screws up. This time it's the fault of Iran. And this is why we cannot give them a Palestinian state. Well, we gave them Gaza. And this is the problem that people have to understand. Israel gave it and left, and then Iran came in. We knew Iran was going to come in. So what did Israel do? Well, we'll just pull out of the area and let the world watch it unfold. And that's what happened. We pulled out. They paid people at the border to smuggle weapons in. Foreign fighters came in. The people of Gaza slowly got held hostage. It became more and more religious extremists killing people for playing music at their weddings, right? It became like Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda basically went in. And then they started firing rockets on Israel. Then there was a peace concert, a peace festival. They parachuted in and killed a bunch of peaceniks. So Israel can't make it right because they were invaded by Iran. So how do you fix it? The objective reality is that Israel's going to take back Gaza. It's unfortunate for the innocent people there, but that's what's going to happen. And I think that Egypt should be forced to take refugees. They are partly responsible for this crisis. They did not adequately protect the border. And I think Lebanon should take some. Maybe America can. Why doesn't America take some? Why doesn't America offer citizenship to good people from Gaza that can't go back to their homes because there's a freaking war going on? I think the same thing that happened to when Syrians lost their homes and were offered homes, I think the world embraced them. And I think the same is true. No, they want them to stay and suffer so that they can blame Israel. This is a war between Iran and Israel. The civilians are not safe. And I think that the world should embrace them and give them a safety. Maybe the day will come when they can go back to Gaza, but not right now. That's what I think. I think also eventually it's not going to stop until eventually the world is going to go after Iran too, because it's ultimately Iran that's been fueling this. Okay, I feel like Debbie Downer, right? That's right. We have to pray that the good Palestinian people, the majority of Palestinians are good people. We have to pray that they get to safety. That these terrorists, I know people that are Palestinian that are part of a blood drive. They don't support this to help the Israelis. They don't support this in Israel. They're offended. My friends who are Palestinian wanted me to tell everybody here that stop saying that this is the Palestinians. These are not Palestinians. They're terrorists. Please stop please stop saying that. This is a terrorist organization. They don't represent the Palestinian people. They're not. This is not. My friends are doing blood draws. Okay, they just want to live their lives. So, yeah. So when you say the Israel really, that is not what the Palestinians believe. It's not. This does not represent them. All right, we're going to do the empath prayer, and then we will do some blitzes. And then, no, there's no Jewish settlements in Gaza. No, the Jewish settlements were there. Jews did build settlements, and they were beautiful settlements. And when the Israeli government left, we handed the keys to the mayor and of Gaza City. Do what you will with it. They destroyed it. They stole. They demolished all the settlements. No infrastructure for desalination so that they can get their own water. Build electrical plant, build an infrastructure so that you can function on your own. No, Iran does not care about Palestinians having an infrastructure. They're dependent on a foreign country, Israel, for their electricity and for their water. Why can't they get it from Egypt? Why can't the Arab countries and everybody work together to build an infrastructure inside Gaza? Because they want the people of Gaza to suffer. Everybody's responsible, right? They should have their own electricity, right? Their own water. Nobody should be able to turn their electricity and water off, right? Something to think about, right? All right, let's do the impasse prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. So we just want to pray for everybody who's in war, and all good people stay safe. All right. So whenever you guys are ready, we can do some blitzes. Hello, John Weber. Always feel better after I do the impasse prayer. It shifts the energy. Yeah, Joel, you're mentally worn out. I get it. And I feel like every time we hear something horrible, I just got a letter from Linda G. We were talking about like things. It's like Putin is always in the middle of it. You just feel like it's like what Joel said. It's, this attempt to always distract from whatever is, going on. So I'm kind of disappointed that Scalia is out. No, I keep calling him Scalia. Scalice. Excuse me. Scalice dropped out. That is weird. But I believe he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. He might not be up to the task. Let's see about the new speaker. There's no way Jim Jordan there's no way he would get the votes. There's people that outright hate Jim Jordan. He's not popular in the party. See this woman. What is her name? Stefano? Is it possible that Stefano gets in? Who's this woman? They have been completely dismantled by their own idiotic policies, but also by their opposition, the Democrats. I get where Lindsey Graham is coming from, that he does not anticipate a future for the Republican Party. And it's because it takes a lot to get people in poor rural areas to vote. And the opposition of the Republicans takes their weapons away. That would be the Democrats. We take their weapons of war away. So basically what they're saying is, I see a woman has strong influence in Congress for the GOP. I see the Democrats as their opposition taking their weapons away. Look at this. Can you make peace and vote for one of our people, please? The ambassador, a diplomat comes, right? What are they called? A peace envoy, a peace envoy. Six of Pentacles, mercy shown. They're going to have to get a moderate in there. Something about a woman gets the contract. Aren't you guys excited to see who this is? This has come up twice. Any of the other readers getting this woman card? Because what will start to happen energetically when Spirit tries to communicate is all the readers will start getting the same cards, and then we'll be like, what the heck is that? What the heck is that? What the heck is that? Did you get that too? Did you get that too? Something about a woman getting the contract. I can't say that the next speaker is going to be a woman, but a woman plays a very prominent role. If I were to read those cards straight, I would say it was a woman with dark hair. What do you guys think? What's her name? Stefano something? What's her first name? Oh, I got something in my eye. Well, it was nice knowing you, Scalice. It was nice knowing you. Midas Touch just reported that Scalice is out. Okay. John Weber is concerned about other, you know what? When I tune in to the West Bank and when I tune into my friends on the West Bank, these are not, Jerusalem's a major city. It's like Pittsburgh, man. You know, like people don't want to go and strap bombs on, and it's just they're not feeling it. You got Gaza over, you got the Strip over by Egypt, and you've got this heavy Iranian influence, and you've got this heavy Russian propaganda influence with Putin, and they're pouring this foreign aid in to try and get World War III started. That's what's going on. That's what it looks like. And then you have normal people in a major city bitching that they don't have the right to vote, even though they were, well, if they were born in East Jerusalem, they have a passport. But say they came from an outer region and they, you know, but they live in the 21st century and they're a normal person. They look over at what's happening and they're like, you want us to get involved in that? Are you insane? So it didn't work. It didn't work because Putin doesn't understand the culture. He doesn't understand how integrated we've become. There's something like a 17% integration rate, which is why inevitably it'll just become one country. All we have to do is sit back and wait because everybody's marrying everybody else. Integration is inevitable. And so Putin tried to do the same thing in the United States, tear people apart, right? If absolutely nothing happens in Israel, I believe we'll just inevitably the laws will become more and more and more slack until eventually everybody has the vote and it just becomes one country, which is where we're headed. Things are becoming more and more loose in some areas. I think some areas of the West Bank are under Palestinian control, like Bethlehem, for example. So how it was feeling the last couple of years is it's becoming looser and looser and more open and more open and more marriages and more freedom and more mixed restaurants and more socializing. And then you have this other experience over there that is foreign money, foreign fighters, Syria, fighters coming out of Sudan, Iranian money, Qatar money, Russian money, and it just doesn't vibe with the consciousness of the average up and coming 20-something-year-old, taking the subway to work. You know what I'm saying? It just so that's why it's going to be very hard for Putin and his friends over in Iran to get this to spill out into other areas the way they want it to. The other thing I would say, hi, honey, you want to come here? I love you too. Yes, baby. I was going to say something else and I can't remember what it was. Couldn't have been more important than Mila. Um, yeah, we're don't watch CNN. That's what my Israeli Arab friends say to me. Don't watch if you want the facts, don't watch CNN. Well, like there's a lot of people are getting married. That's something that doesn't get covered. And so you have a lot of um Arab men who married Israeli women, Israeli men who married Arab women, and then their kids are Israeli and in the military, which is something that the general public hi, Mila, doesn't cover. So you have a lot of mixed marriages, and their kids are serving in the IDF and voting. So I think that's something that doesn't always get covered. Wow. I hope, even though I'm not a Republican, I hope Scalice is okay just as a fellow human being. Evidently, he's a nice family man and he's had a rough time of it with his health. Is this based a lot on religion? I think that it's based on Putin being angry at Netanyahu and Israel for their support of Ukraine and Zelensky. And I think that this was a kind of retaliatory strike. And I think he worked with Iran, who he's an ally of. Iran supplied the drones for Putin in the Ukraine war. They're allies. They share trade, right? You have the Caspian and the Black Sea. You have trade with Turkey, trade with Iran. So it's just like Turkey. These are important trade partners to Russia. And gold. That was the big one, right? Azerbaijani gold. A lot of gold being back and forth trade. I forget who gets the gold. Where does the gold come from? Does the gold come from Iran or from Russia? I just remember when my friends got out of Russia, they were doing a lot of trade with Iran from Azerbaijan, and they were called the Mountain of Gold. The Russians from Baku and Azerbaijan, because they just brought so much gold out of Russia. That's kind of an interesting fact about that. Yes, she's my little queen. Midas touch, yeah, good stuff. Oh, Baha'i. I visited the Baha'i temple, and they gave the tours in Hebrew. And they were saying you can't convert to Baha'i. I mean, you can't be born Baha'i. You cannot be born Baha'i. That's what they said. No one is born Baha'i. You have to choose to be a Baha'i. That's what they were saying. If your parents are Baha'i, you still have to learn and make a conscious. I don't know if that's true, but that was how they were teaching it. It's like they asked the child, "Do you want to be Baha'i?" Or I don't know. World peace. It's all about world peace. It's good stuff. Oh, Putin's birthday was October 7th, the same day as attack. What a wingnut. George, oh yeah, I want to look at George Santos to see what's going on with him. Also, if people could like and subscribe, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It helps the channel. I agree with Christine's statement. I will go ahead and pin that, Christine. George Santos. I think that they're saying he's going to face multiple charges, right? Is that right? How's my sound, by the way? Is it okay? I had terrible sound the other day. It was a nightmare. Something was going on with the internet. It appears that he will probably plead guilty on some of the charges in order to avoid longer prison sentences. Foolish behavior. His opposition is offering him something. We also have a King of Cups here, so that would be an offer. He can plead guilty to a lesser sentence, and then maybe he can avoid some jail. The fact that the Ace of Swords is coming out, that's a victory card. Yeah, his world is crashing down in the next 2 weeks. His world is definitely, this is Santos' world crashing down. More of an investigation. So in plainer words, they're saying that they started the first layer of investigations on George Santos, but there's more investigations ahead. Double aces. Within 2 weeks to 30 days, we'll be hearing formal charges by the feds. Here's the FBI. Here's the feds. So basically, they're saying that within 2 weeks, we'll probably hear something and formal charges, officially probably formally charged within a month. And then we have a nice comment here from Christine that both Israel and Gaza need to have working governments. And that's true. If you want peace in the world, if you want to come to the table and have peace, both sides have to have a functioning government that genuinely wants peace. And I don't think either side has that right now. That's true. You know, Joel, I think that George Santos always looks like he would go to Brazil, but you wonder if he would even be safe in Brazil. But at the same time, what kind of future does he have in the United States when he's become a political pariah? Oh, you think that the problem was Chuck's upgrade internet speed was causing it? Is that possible, John? I didn't know that. Can that happen, John? Uh, can somebody's high internet speed have a negative impact on somebody else? I didn't know that that could happen. That would be a problem since we just upgraded. Well, I increased my internet speed too. Yeah. So let's see if George Santos is going to flee. Thank you for those hearts. I appreciate that. He was faster, but would that have caused that kind of reaction? See, I see Santos chart. He's not going to be able to escape. Oh, Chuck went through an upgrade. That's true. New beginning for George Santos. He ran out of time. It was, it was an issue of just it was. Oh, they're investigating his money sources. Look at that. Charges. He's still under investigation for money. So my feeling about it is that there are multiple layers of multiple investigations on him. I would not get too comfortable if I were him. If he thinks that if George Santos thinks that he can surrender or say he's guilty to a lesser sentence and that that's going to stop future investigations, I don't think so, because the hope and the fear for George Santos would indicate that they're still digging. So they're still trying to figure out the issues with his money. It's interesting because that was the whole argument. Nobody knows where his money is coming from. How much information did Trump leak to Putin? You know, a lot of people have speculated, did Trump have anything to do with the attack against Israel, or did he potentially know about Israel's vulnerabilities to an attack? I think that is really what people want to know. I think no, it had more to do with Putin had the ability to manipulate Israeli intelligence into believing that they could trust Russia. And the shock was that Putin basically said, how do I know? And you have false information, because he spread the false information. His people made sure. I wonder if there's even going to be a diplomatic relationship between Israel and Russia at the end of this. This is so bad that Israelis are talking about kicking the Russians out. You know, we brought in something like how many million? 1.5 million Russians, and something like 500,000 of them weren't even Jewish. They were just people that wanted to live in Israel. So some of them criminals, some of them members of the Russian mafia, thugs, and they brought in human trafficking and crime. And so now there's this backlash coming. Now that they're starting to see the Putin connection, and that Putin's hands are all over this, there's going to be this huge backlash against the Russian population in Israel. It's like particularly if you're a Russian who lied in order to get citizenship, and now you're not, you're there and you're not Jewish, and you're not even necessarily pro-Israel. Yeah, people want to kick them out, go back to Moscow, kind of you're going to start seeing more of that. Yeah. Not against the Palestinians, against the Russians and the Russian tie with Iran. Well, I don't think people are going to know for I don't think the average American even knows what that there's a link. They're still thinking that this is Palestinians and Israelis fighting. They don't know that we're fighting a foreign government. So it's going to take, and part of that's the fault of the American news. It's not adequately telling people what's going on. According to these cards, Putin already had everything. Just like Putin said, I already have all the intelligence. I already know what's going on. I already have all the information. He already had everything. His opposition takes the weapon away. It's a war, but I think it's a war. Remember what people have said about Putin, that he shows the face that he thinks his enemies want to see when he's around the Israelis. He says, oh, I had many Jewish friends growing up in St. Petersburg. Yeah. Right? Oh, he's a friend of Israel. Yes. Meanwhile, he's buddy buddy with Syria, Assad. He's buddy buddy with Khomeini, and talking about how every evil thing in the world is the fault of the Jews and let's bomb them, right? So Putin is an opportunist, and like Trump, he's all things to all people. I think he didn't need Trump. I don't think Putin needed Trump. I think that Israel has a serious security breach with Russia. I think we've had a serious security breach for a very, very long time. And I think that we need to deal with this issue. It's a major security breach, and it's been going on for a very long time. And it's one of the reasons why Israel's become such a right wing country. It's because of that influence. Which did he say? Well, people are not necessarily sure he did with anyone. It's really more that he shared it with certain people who then theoretically shared it. There appears to be a middleman. For example, there's some evidence that one of the Russian oligarchs may have gotten access to it. There's some evidence of that. He also was interested in the business opportunities associated with the intel. Yes, he dumped intel, but specifically, he had intel about future military projects and certain activities all over the world and felt like he could benefit financially by sharing the information. A load of information dumped. Look at this offer. Liaison. There's a liaison. He had a liaison, which makes sense. That sounds like something Trump would have done. So if he was selling intel, and it appears, well, some people think that Roger Stone was one of his intel, right? Roger Stone, talk about a confused man, was going and collecting data from one person and going and getting it to another. It's like when he had that ripped up paper and it said call Rogers. It might have said call Rogers' cell phone or something like that. But it was probably Roger Stone. Yeah. Roger Ailes, Roger Stone, but probably Roger Stone because Roger Stone was knee deep in everything MAGA. So it doesn't surprise me to see that King of Cups. King of Cups is often a negotiator. You'll often see him. He's the bridge over troubled water. Ace of Cups is to receive an offer. So those cards would indicate that he may have sold information through a middle person. Something nice to look forward to is when we get to find out all the intelligence leaks that happened because of 45. Oh, yes, Garbo. This is something that's come up, and it's something that may start developing some juice later on, which is, thank you for mentioning that, Garbo 99. Were members of the can't talk today. Were members of the Mar Largo staff approached by foreign governments and offered money in exchange for information about goings on? So the question that we know that certain celebrity gossip magazines have done that, right? Where you sell a story to the Daily Mirror or something like that. Hey, you work over at, Mar-a-Lago, Trump Tower. The person may even lie about who they represent. They may claim that they work for the Daily Mirror when in fact they work for a foreign government. Have people reported that they've been approached? Of course. This is why they have to sign NDAs. Let's take a look. Good question, Garbo 99. Yeah, exactly, Garbo. We're not talking about the tightest security in the world. I think that people who work for Mar-Lago have been questioned by the FBI to determine if anybody moved boxes, were approached, and if you were approached, you have to come clean about it. And so that investigation is happening. You can see here, there's the investigation. Four of Wands is a new beginning to build new walls. Three of Pentacles, a new investigation about alliances, foreigners, right? Ethics violation. The judgment about whether or not people that may have spoken to outsiders about activities in Mar-Lago, whether or not they'll be prosecuted, So in plainer words, interesting. So what they're saying is that they have been conducting a series of interviews and deposed people that work at Mar-a-Lago regarding that question, Garbo 99. And it's undecided at this time whether or not anybody will be facing charges. Any more people will be facing charges. it's a little scary and ambiguous, to be honest, Garbo, because they're saying we honestly can't tell you for certain everyone that had access to these rooms. This is our money investments, just a decision, Feds, FBI investigation. So it's undecided. It's undecided if more people will be charged. I think it's very I think it's very scary. Don't you think it's scary that people are just going and cleaning toilets and somebody's walking up to them and saying, "Hey, I work for the Daily Mirror. You got a scoop, or can you get some documents for me? There's $1,000 in it for you, or $10,000 in it for you." And people are admitting that they've been approached. So, say for example, 100 people are approached and 98 admit it. What about, you start to wonder if, like, it only takes one person to do a leak like that. And the fact that the feds have said we can't say for certain we know everybody that had access, the fact that it ends with the moon is basically saying we'll never know everybody who may have potentially had access to those documents. The truth of the matter is, you can kind of see why Liz Cheney went ballistic. You can kind of see why the people that were investigating this stuff were freaking out, because when your own how did we have such bad security in our country that the former president was leaving the nuclear codes in an old bathroom, and the cleaning lady is being offered money by China to go and it's such an insane thing to have happened, and yet that seems to be where we find ourselves. Yeah. Gosh, it's just so crazy about what's going on with the GOP. I think that before we close today, I'll go ahead and check and see if, oh, hi, Fillerin. I'm going to go ahead and see if everything is going to be, what was I going to do? Oh, yeah, if we were going to be able to find somebody soon. I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of people who were nice enough to send me stuff, especially thank you so much to Angie Fernandez in New South Wales, Australia. Angie Fernandez, you sent me Tim Tam cookies, biscuits, many different flavors she sent me, Angie. And I've decided that the dark are my favorite. Thank you very much. It's very, very kind of you. I also want to give gratitude to Rosalia Scalia. She was our guest for the month of September. Her book, Stumbling Towards Grace, beautiful book of short stories. She also sent me these beautiful Italian almond nuggets. Yummy, yum, yum. I will make sure also to send you a thank you note. Also, thank you to everybody who sent your books. We received quite a few books, people that would like us to consider them for our Book of the Month Club. We have already selected all of the books, Book of the Month Club for 2023. If you would like to join our book club for the month of October, we are reading the book, The Call of the Cards. It is part of a 3-part series. The Call of the Cards by Heather Hardison. Call of the Cards. It's about Alexandra Still, a clinical psychologist who stumbles upon a mystical store in downtown Memphis, Tennessee, where she encounters tarot cards. So it's basically a private investigator who uses cards. Sound familiar? So that is we wanted to do something a little witchy for the month of October. And then for Halloween, we will all be getting together at 6 p.m. I'm wondering if Chuck is going to be in costume. I'll have to ask him about that. But And we will have the guest, Heather Hardison, and we will be talking about the book. So I am excited about that. Also, I want to announce that Chuck Dransfield has a new video out, allegedly haunted Hollymont Apartments of Hollywood. So he's trying to put out something spooky for the month. Yes. Yes. All right. So we need a functioning Republican Party. I completely agree. Oh, you're reading part 3 now? Wow, you whipped through that, Christine. Yes, Halloween on Taco Tuesday. I wonder if we can get the black tacos that people have been getting with the blue corn. Yes, you can make spooky tacos. It's very silly, but you can make spooky tacos, black beans. You can make everything spooky. If you want to do a taco theme. Yeah. Well, black beans, orange cheese. It would be very easy to do. Yeah. All right. I'm going to look at the government shutdown one more time before we close today. Thank you, everybody who decided to hang out. Yeah, we had a good time despite all the crazy going on. Okay. Constitution wins. What's interesting is just how powerful America is, despite all of our differences, despite how many things we don't always agree on. I just realized I've still got the Taco Tuesday thing up. I must just love Taco Tuesdays. I had to switch that out. Yeah, but I always think of this as like the Constitution. Strong movement is taking place right now in the House. Mediation. Hanged man. This is also Scalia hanging it up. 2 of Cups. Nobody wants the speakership. New time in the House. Dang. Who's going to be speaker? Somebody is reaching across the aisle to try and make peace with the Democrats. Stuck on their old ways. MAGA causes grief. This could go on for weeks. Oh, we dream about Hakeem Jeffries, but they would rather eat broken glass than have somebody like Hakeem Jeffries sit in the speakership. No, it'll probably be a Republican. I keep getting a female, but we'll just see. I thought it was going to be Scalice and that my cards were wrong, but still not Scalice. We're just going to have to wait and see how this plays itself out. All right. Thank you, everyone who has been kind enough to hang out with me. Be kind to all so that all can be kind to you too. I will see you back here. I think the private readings you folks said Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time instead of 11 a.m. on Saturdays. In fact, twice as many of you wanted Sundays. So I guess because people couldn't make it on Saturday. Also, it's Shabbat. So, it'd be nice if I had a day off, even though I don't really consider that work. So I'm going to let you guys continue to talk about it, but I think we're going to switch from Saturday at 11 a.m. to Sunday at 9 a.m. West Coast time for our private get-togethers, unless you guys say no and give me something else, because that seems to be what you guys are saying. All right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time. Be well.